My name's Annie, I work here at Farm Focus, and today we're just going to have a bit of a run through of Cashmanager Focus, particularly for those that have migrated from Rural across to Focus. So today we'll cover making that switch, how to get your Focus business set up, how to manage your transactions, your actuals in Focus. We'll have a look at the planning and budgeting area and the reports, and we'll have time for question and answers at the end. If you've got questions, you should have a chat option there on Zoom, and feel free as we go through, if questions come up, to ask the questions, and I'll try and keep an eye on it. We'll see how I go, and if I can answer them as we go, I will. If not, I'll do a roundup at the end and we'll run through them all. We'll go through lots today, as it won't be everything, but we'll go through plenty. It can be a bit overwhelming because it's all new. Don't feel you've got to remember everything. There's lots of support available, lots of extra places to get information, which we'll go through at the end. So hopefully it'll all make sense, but don't feel you have to take it all in, because we can get lots of other help when we're finished. So when you first log into Focus, you're met with your dashboard. Very quick overview of your business. Your bank balance will track along there and where it's budgeted to go. Your bank balance is here, where your money, what money is sitting due to go out and what's coming in, and where it's been earned and spent. You can hover over these pie charts and you'll see the percentage spend in each of these reporting groups. So just handy little tools to give you a quick overview. Having migrated across, we'll just jump into the settings. Your settings will have come with you, but it's a really good opportunity to just jump in and check your settings, make sure you're all set up nice and tidy. For example, having that effective farm area set in there gives you that per hectare figure in our report. Go through and make sure just like your GST is all set up and nice and tidy. With users, we can add people with access to our database. We can have organisation admin, that's full access. That's what you'd want to give to your accountant. Restricted means they can't get into your settings, and coming in the next release, which is just a couple of weeks away, we do have a reporting access, which is kind of the equivalent of read only. That's coming soon. So you can add anyone that you want to be able to jump in and see your business. A great thing with being totally web-based with Focus is we can have multiple users in there at the same time. So gone are the days of having synchronization issues or getting locked out if someone else is in there. So it's really handy. The livestock settings here, we really recommend you pop in your opening and closing values for each stock class. We'll see when we get a bit further on, this feeds through and pops an adjustment figure into our performance report. So gives real value to our reports, allowing accounting for those dollars in the paddock as well as the dollars in the bank. Your bank feeds will come across with you. If you're BNZ, maybe let me know at the end and I can show you. We don't currently have bank feeds for BNZ, but they are coming soon. But we can actually easily grab the file from the bank and bring it in anyway. But with those bank feeds running, it's great. It takes away that risk for human error. Your transactions will just come through. Tags here. Now, management tags are replacing enterprising. These are used if you've got quite separate areas of your business that you want to report on totally separately. So it's all under one GST number. You do get one management tag included, and then you can buy any additional that you need. And that will allow you to report separately on livestock, income and expenditure. The cost tags here are new, and they're a fantastic tool to report on expenses. There's no additional cost to these, and you can have as many as you like. And yeah, I think of them as a bit of a project tracker. So let's just say you were going to upgrade the wool shed. As you'll know with rural, you can easily report on what you've spent on fencing for the year or a specific code. But let's say we're upgrading the wool shed and we've got a bit of fencing, some casual labour and other bits and pieces all over the place. If we'd created a cost tag for that project, tagged all the expenses as we've paid the bills, we can easily drill down and report on that project. So very handy tool there. Connectors. These are the connectors we have so far. There are more in the pipeline. These are great to get set up because it just means your statement's going to feed directly into the system. Invoice scanner is new. We really recommend that you get this set up. This being a demo database, I can't actually connect it, but in your database, you'll be able to hit connect. It gives your database its own unique email address. We recommend you save it as a contact in your own emails, and when you get sent invoices, you simply hit forward, send them on to your focus email address, and they'll appear within the software. You can also scan in or take photographs of any other invoices that you receive maybe in the mail, and you can also send them in. And we'll see when we get on a bit further the benefits of sending your invoices in. Contacts, they're a really useful place to store information, and also very handy if you want to create an invoice to send to somebody, and also if you want to pay your bills using the bill payment file in here. If you get them set up with their bank details as a contact, it makes it really quick and easy to do that. And again, I'll show you when we get a bit further on. Coming into codes here, so your farm codes will have come across from Rural, but a really good opportunity to go through and have a bit of a review. So they'll come across in your sections using the chevrons at the top here to look at the categories, and then underneath there, your extended codes. Now in Rural, the right click of your mouse gave you a lot of options. It opened up the menus to have a look at. In Focus, we've got these handy little dots off to the side. So if you're looking to do anything, keep an eye out for those 3 dots. And you'll see there in this example, we can add a new extended code underneath a category. We can edit what's there. We can delete things that haven't been used before and we never want to use. Or we've got the option to deactivate. Now, deactivating is great because it basically hides it from view, but you've got the option up here to show inactive codes, and you can reactivate. So if there's something that you don't use just now, but you might use in the future, best to deactivate. So as I said, good opportunity to go through, check that your code lists are set up and working for you, add in at category level any new extended codes that are missing, and tidy up what's there. If we come up to livestock codes, and as you'll know with Rural, if we open up these livestock codes, they do behave a little bit differently. So we'll scroll down. As soon as they're given the type stock, you'll see we've got some additional information we can pop in. As with Rural, we have stock units. All stock classes are set to age at the end of the financial year, and they've got a breeding status, so breeding there allowing them to be a mother. Secondary breeding gives us a secondary breeding percentage. Progeny allows an animal to be born, and none is our non-breeding animals. When we scroll down a bit further, you'll see this is new. So we've got a default unit of measure. So we can set it to be either carcass or live weight, and our average yield. So this is really powerful in our reports. With Rural, we put in our average weight, but sometimes it was a carcass weight, sometimes it could be a live weight. So there wasn't any consistency in that data there. Whereas now when you're coding or when you're budgeting, you can say whether it's a carcass weight or live weight, and it's going to standardize that for our reports, which is fabulous. Also within the codes there, we'll have a look. We've got code split rules. So these are codes that we want to automatically split for GST. So we can add in any GST splits there. And you'll see here we've got rules, coding rules. These replace Rural's auto coding. So anything that's surely going to be the same every time it comes through, the more of these rules you get set up, the better. It makes it super quick and efficient when we come to do our coding. We can set them up within the settings, or we can set them up within the invoice or transaction itself. If I jump in here, if I click to add new rule, you'll see we can select the criteria that we want the software to look for. Perhaps let's just say other party might contain FMG. And we can set what we want it to code to, whether it's the full amount, a dollar split, or a percentage split. In this case, we'll leave it as full amount. Find the code. You've got the option to review individually. Now, if you are creating a coding rule and sometimes you think it might be different, you do just want an opportunity to have a look at it and make sure that it's correct. Let's just say you're setting up a rule using your name and you want to set it to code to wages, but on occasion you might have reimbursed yourself for something. You might want to just double check that it is wages. So you can review it individually, or you can just apply these coding rules as part of a group. Just do with one click with the mouse, it'll just bulk code the whole lot. So review individually you'd use if on occasion it might be something different, but if you're really confident that it's always going to be correct, you can just do it as part of a group. We can actually add multiple criteria to these coding rules, which is great. So if you are, say, creating a coding rule for your electricity, you could actually create separate coding rules for your different power accounts. You might have one reference, create another coding rule using the multiple criteria for the other power bill, and get that level of detail in there. We'll jump in and have a look at our actuals now. So with our actuals and looking after transactions, we will work a wee bit differently to how we did in rural. So we'll go through that now. You'll see we've got 5 tabs along the top. We've got needs action. So everything sitting here is waiting for us to do something with it. When things are coded and dealt with, they move here to completed. So this becomes a big long list of all our coded transactions. We can look at them by coded lines or by the transaction themselves. And flick back to previous financial years. We've got a really good search engine built in. So if you're looking for something specific, we can type in, say, that keyword, and it'll get rid of the noise for us. It'll find what we're looking for. Here we've got the stock activity tab. Anything that you've given a livestock code to will duplicate and sit under this stock activity tab. So it becomes a list of all your sales and purchases. We do have to remember to add in our non-financial events. And I've got this button in the top right-hand corner. And so this is where I can come in and pop in my births, my deaths and missings, and transfer between codes as well. We've also got found, which is very handy if you've written off some stock the year before and actually the neighbours appeared with them in the trailer. We can easily add them back in. So that's popping in our non-financial events. With these screens, the titles here act to reorder. So again, if you're looking for something specific, we can change the order and easily find what we're looking for. The balancing screen. Now this is how we reconcile now. So we've moved away from having to bring in, do your month's coding and match to the page. We now have this daily balance. So your bank balance will come through from your internet banking. Your focus balance is everything that you've got coded up to date. So when you've done all your coding up to a specific date, your bank balance and your focus balance will be the same. And you get this nice green line letting you know that you're balanced up to that point. You'll see as soon as we've got uncoded transactions, we're out of balance. But once I've done that coding, the green line's going to move up. And so it's important before, let's say, before we file a GST return, we just want to make sure we're balanced up to that period end date. Any tax invoices you've created to send out to people will sit under the tax invoices tab at the end here. So we'll come back to needs action. This is where we're going to be doing most of our work. And I'll just quickly check, just make sure we've not had any questions so far. So needs action, you'll see here, is split into 2 sides. We've got invoices on the left and we've got bank transactions on the right. The invoices side, this is where any of our connectors statements are going to come in. So our farmlands and so on will come in and sit on this invoices side. Also, any invoices we've sent in through invoice scanner and any invoices we've created to send out to people. The great thing about focusing on this invoices side is it's timely and it's a real source of truth. So these invoices that come in through the invoice scanner, we can see there this little icon shows that they've come in through invoice scanner. And if I jump into one here, we'll see the PDF, the original PDF attachment of the invoice sits within the invoice, sorry. So you've got that original one sitting there, so the accountant can jump in and see. You'll see using this paperclip, we can also save as many other attachments as you like, either by dragging and dropping or browsing. Really useful for maybe pictures of receipts, tax certificates, grazing agreements, whatever it may be, and we can save files within the invoice or the bank transaction. When we send things in through invoice scanner, the software actually will read the invoice for us. It's picked up the invoice date, due date, all these details, and it's also picked up the line details. If the software hasn't got it right, it's not read our invoice properly, we can improve the accuracy for next time by hitting this fill in the gaps. The software learns our invoices, so the more you teach it, the more it's going to learn. So if I hit fill in the gaps and proceed, it opens up this software we call Extractor. And you'll see there's the invoice there, and it's showing us where it's grabbed the information. So let's just say this wasn't correct. We can just select the area and drag a box round what we want it to read. And you'll see here, we can hit the description and it's showing us where it's taken the information from. So generally the software will read this and that's fine, but if it's not reading it correctly, you can go through and fix up the lines and fix up the different areas to make sure it's all correct and then save it. In this case, it's come through nice and tidy. So once we've got our invoice there and we've opened it, we simply just need to add in our coding. We've got a few good little tips and tricks to quickly code within Focus. We can create those coding rules within the invoice or the transaction. So coming to the end here to the three little dots, you'll see I've got the option to hit new coding rule. Now, the great thing about doing it in here is you'll see it's actually grabbed the criteria for me and what it's looking for. And I can just hit to code the full amount to fuel. And I can save that. And you'll see it's not only applied that coding rule to that one line, but it's applied it to any other lines. And for that matter, any other invoices sitting there will now have that. As I said, the more coding rules you set up, the better. Like I can see there's a couple of diesel ones here. Handy, I can go tick, tick. If I don't want the level of detail on all the lines, I could actually hit merge and it's just going to put those lines together into one simple line. Or I can just code the first one and it'll code them all. So using the tick boxes, we can either merge the lines together or just code one line and it'll bulk code them for us. You would have seen there, rather than having to learn our codes off by heart and type the codes in, we can actually just start typing the words and it will find the coding for us. So once we've gone through and done our coding, if the bill's not yet been paid, we can simply hit save. So let's just say we've forwarded the invoice on like the 2nd of the month and we're not going to pay the bill till the 20th. We can just pop in our coding and hit save. Very handy. You don't have to fully code the transaction to save it. We can part code it, save. You know, you might need to go away and check something, get some more information. So we can save it partway through coding as well. With the invoices, it's just a case of going through, clicking into each one, using the multi-select, using the merge and the bulk coding function, creating those coding rules as we go, adding in any additional attachments you might like, and saving them. Once our invoices are all in there and you're ready to pay your bills, you can still log into your internet banking and pay your bills, or you can actually go to this upload download icon, select bill payment file. This is just a demo, so it's not going to let me actually do it. But with these other parties, if I had their bank details set up within the contacts, I would have the option to tick which payments I want to take. I could hit download. That's going to create a file which I can then upload into my internet banking. So it's a really good idea. Once you've forwarded your invoices and you've checked them all, you can just grab that bill payment file. It's picked up, you'll see there the due dates. Take that into your internet banking and you've very quickly paid all those bills. Of course, you can absolutely still just log into your internet banking and pay your bills as normal. Once the bank transactions occur, they come through on your bank feed and sit here on this bank transaction side. Once the bills have been paid, you'll see you've got the option here to hit match. We scroll down, find that payment, and save it. That's that invoice and bank transaction now matched together and gone off to completed. So once you've done your coding, it's a case of just going through your invoices once they've been paid and matching them to the corresponding bank transaction. We can also match from the bank transaction side. So if we opened up any of these, let's just say this tractor repair one, I've got it all nicely coded. I can hit match. On this occasion, we actually only paid $2,000 of that total bill. So there's the bill payment. I'm going to hit save. And you'll see it's got a token just letting us know that it's partially paid, and it's letting us know the remaining amount. So when you pay that maybe the following month and you match the bank transaction to this partially paid invoice, that'll then go to completed. There are, of course, some bank transactions that aren't going to have invoices, and we can simply code them from the bank transaction side, any remaining. The first thing we could do is run those coding rules. So the ones that we're pretty confident about, those ones that we set up to do as a group, I can simply hit run coding rules, and any of them with this icon showing that there's a coding rule applied, we'll say, no, we've got no invoices to match. We'll run them and off they go to completed. Opening this one up here. This is an example. I'll just show you. It's not got the coding rule group icon, but you can see as soon as I open it, there is actually, it's already been coded for me. So this is one of the coding rules that I've asked to review each time. So I could overtype that if it was different, but in this case, yeah, I'm happy with that coding. Hit save, and that's that gone off to completed. We can also use the boxes here to multi-select and bulk code. So I could select what I need. I'm going to hit code. Those ones there are all drawings. I can add in a description or a tag if needed, hit code, and that's them all going off to completed. From this bank transaction side, as with the invoice side, we can create those coding rules as we go. In the bank transaction side, we can either do it on the line with the new coding rule, or we've got this little handy icon which lets us create the coding rule. So again, it's grabbed the relevant criteria for me. I can bin extra criteria if it's got too much detail. Pop in what I want to code it to. This one, I'm pretty sure it's always going to be a bank charge. And now next time the bank charge comes through, the coding rule will be applied. And again, you've got your paper clip here. You can save as many attachments in there as you like. So that's how we manage our transactions. First, focusing on the invoices side, going through, making sure they're all tidy, adding our coding to each line, and then matching it once the bank transactions occurred, and going through and tidying up the rest of our bank transactions that just need to be manually coded. Using the upload download icon here, we do also have the option to bring in other supplier invoices to our invoices side. We've got a few options there. They come in as a CSV. If there's any other providers, we can often manipulate the CSV to bring them in, and it brings in all that rich detail for us. And that is mostly how we are working on our actual side. I'm just going to double check, make sure we haven't missed anything. No, that's us there. So as I say, once they're coded and dealt with, off to completed. Before you file any returns or anything, jump in, make sure you're nicely balanced. If you're not balanced for any reason, it's great because you can just pinpoint that exact day that you've gone from being balanced to being unbalanced. We'll move and have a look at the plan area now. When you click into the plan, you'll see here you've got your working plan along the top. This we think of as your main budget, and it constantly revises, so your actuals sit on top as each month rolls by. Underneath there, you've got your baseline plans. Now, these are read-only copies, so once you've, say, put your original budget in, or you've got partway through the year and you've really done a good review of your budget, we recommend saving it as a baseline, and that just pops a read-only copy underneath, so you've always got it to compare back to. You can also have as many different draft scenarios going on as you like. So let's say you've got your working plan up here. You can duplicate that as a draft. You could rename it, have a play around with a different scenario. And if this becomes the new best plan, we can use our dots to set that as the working plan and swap them out. You'll see there, once things are in draft, we can also change the plan year, throw it forward and manage it like that. So we'll click into our working plan here. You'll see it's very familiar, very similar to what we're used to in rural. You've got your code list down the side, chevrons here to easily drop down the level of detail you want to work with. We can throw the revision date back, so this working plan automatically, every month that rolls over, it will revise it, it'll push your actuals on top. In this case, I've only done my coding up till the end of January, so we can push that revision date back. This little icon here will allow you to save a copy of what you're working in. You'll see here, similar to rural, we've got our cash flow screen, which is all about dollars. We've got livestock, all about numbers of animals, all about quantities. And with this being a dairy demo, dairy farmers also have the dairy forecaster. We'll just quickly jump in there and have a look. Again, should be very familiar. With the budget side, we just go through, pop in our kilos of milk solids. We can update the prices, and it's going to grab that most recent forecast, forecasted prices, and set this up, and those figures are going to show through in your milk production. We can update the settings within here just to make sure you've got your farming situation set up properly with the company you supply and your farming operation set up. So once you've got that all set up, it's just a case of popping in those kilos of milk solids and it will feed through. Coming back to cash flow, you've got a couple ways to fill up your budget. You can just click once and pop in a dollar value. If you would like to pop in more detail, you can click add, and it opens us up a worksheet, and that's where you can put that dollar value in, but you'll see you've got the option to add tags, descriptions, additional notes, quantities and multipliers. If you want a bit of extra information, click add and use the worksheet. But if you don't need any extra detail, so you can just pop the dollar value in. You've got the option to copy, which will repeat a figure for however many months, however often you like. We've also got the option to spread. So the spread divides an amount out by however many months you'd like. So you can pop the lump sum in and spread it out. You'll see there we've got the option to clear. That quickly deletes everything to the right-hand side. So often you can just pop in your dollar values, but if you want to put in little notes and extra information, click Add to pop in the worksheet details. Really handy within Focus. You'll see here we can view the actual transaction from that revised view. So rather than having to go back to our actuals, we can just hit view, and you'll see we can click into any of these and it takes us back to that actual transaction. And if you've used the invoice scanner, you're going to have that original invoice sitting there. Really, really handy tool. And we can easily just jump back to the plan. We've also, with the livestock, we can jump in and add in any of our stock movements. We can just simply click, add, select the event, pop in all the detail. Remembering we've now got the option to put in carcass weight or live weight, and a price per head or a price per kilo, which will act as a multiplier, which is very handy. A new feature in Focus, which was really asked for, is you can, from the cash flow side with livestock, you'll remember in rural we had to put all the detail in the livestock screen, but we can, however, pop in a dollar value, and it'll allow us to pop that in. So if you just need to create a quick cash flow for the bank manager, you'll see there we can just pop in a lump sum dollar amount. When I go to livestock, you'll see I've got a little flag and it's alerting me that there's something missing. So if we jump in there, you'll see with this little orange flag, it's just saying to us, hang on a minute, we're missing some information here. And we can just pop in that information, save it, and the alert's gone now. So you do have to be careful to pay attention to the alerts. You certainly wouldn't want to put the dollars in but not account for the movement in stock. But it is good if you're doing a quick cash flow, you can fire through, or you can quickly fire in details on the livestock side. With the cash flow, your bank balance tracks along the bottom. If you've got multiple bank accounts, we can click down here and see each account balance as well as the overall business balance. Once we've got information in here from the cash flow or the livestock screen, we've got the print icon to give us a nice printable PDF. The comparison icon allows us to compare what we're looking at with any other scenario, whether it be previous year's actuals or another budget. We can filter for any of those tags that we've used. There's things we can play around with the view, there's keyboard shortcuts, and we can tweak the settings as well in terms of budget name, opening GST due from the previous year and so on. And with the livestock, of course, we just need to make sure our opening numbers are in there. That's your last year closing and should have aged up. So we can just click through the boxes, or within the settings cog and the livestock there, we can pop in our opening numbers. And once we've got our budget in place and we're happy with it, the reports we can get out are fantastic. We can get loads of really good information. A lot of the reports you'll be very familiar with from Rural. A few that are worth noting, there's a bit of a difference. We've got a really good stock trading report. If we jump in there, you'll see that we don't have too much in this demo, but once the information's in there, you'll see it's moved everything to be carcass weight. So we get really good information from this report that's kind of consistent across all your data. The cash flow detail report. See, when we go down and have a look, we'll see. Now we've got these really good carcass weight and live weight kilo per head columns that we can turn on. So that's using our information that we've popped into our budget or our coding. We can choose to turn whatever we like on, and when we come down to our stock codes, you'll see there's that transaction I popped in, and it gives us our really good information. As with anything, the better the information you're popping in, the more power you're going to get out of your reports at the other end. EFS reports, always a favourite. When we, within the settings, pop those livestock values in, this is where they feed through to give us the adjustment. I can have a look at the adjustment calculation up here, in the closing quantity by value less the opening. And we can overtype that. We can click in here and overtype it if we wanted to. Well, there's also other adjustments if you're part of a discussion group and you want to standardise your R&M, FERT management, depreciation. We can do that in here, and also pop in your peak breeding and peak milking animals in here as well. And you'll see the adjustments that you've popped in sit here. So it gives us a really true performance figure. When you come to do your GST, this one's already been finalised, but you'll see with the wee arrow in the bottom there, I can actually directly file that with the IRD. So if I click there, it takes it through to our My IR. We can log in and file straight through there. So it's really, really quick and easy. If you get stuck, we've got a really good help centre. So if I show you there the question mark in the bottom and go to help, we'll open up our help centre. There's lots of great information in there. You can have a read through. There's good videos. The search bar works really, really well. So if you are wanting to know about one of the reports, most of the reports have got their own page in the help centre, and you'll see when we click in, it gives you a good breakdown of where the information's come from and how the report's been put together. Or if you think, what was she on about those rules, we can type in and you'll see it'll bring us up the topics relating to that. There's also live chat here in the corner, comes through to one of us in the office. We try and answer it as quick as we can, but if we're all on the phone, there can be a wee bit of a delay. Or of course you can ring the 0800 number. We're more than happy to help.